by the strength and support of the chess community, and the parents and the families in the chess community, how supportive and how dedicated they are to their child's education and supporting anything that could sort of be positive and build up the communities that they're part of. So thank you for joining. I thought it was important that we take a moment and connect. We've done a lot of things since March. Since schools ended, I think it was on March 13th. We've done a lot of things virtually, and we've really tried to create, innovate, and evolve the programs to keep our players and communities engaged for going on, 7, 8 months at this point, or whatever it may be. And I just thought it was the time, as it looks like we're going to be continuing to move forward in this landscape for the foreseeable future, that we kind of take an inventory of how things are going and then begin to kind of engage the parents and the rest of the just chess community to kind of come together, collaborate, and figure a way out, our best path forward to keep our kids playing chess, loving chess, and enjoying chess for the sort of foreseeable future. I think that's the most important thing that we can kind of talk about, is the preservation. I don't know if we have to thrive in this environment, but I think we have to preserve it to the extent maybe we can thrive. That's always the goal. But to be able to survive and to get through to the other side, where we can have all of our communities and kids intact, where they still are able to hold on to the things that they cherished so much prior to all this disruption. And I think that's kind of an honest expectation, is to feel how we can preserve it just enough to keep them engaged moving forward with the idea of all kind of getting back to some sense of normal in some foreseeable future. There's many distinguished guests and colleagues and parents and friends of ours that have joined the call tonight that I've asked to come and speak, because I'm really hoping over the coming days and weeks and months that for a greater collaboration between families. We're the strength. The families, New York City parents are the strongest group of people I've ever met, and they're some of the smartest, most engaged and hardworking and fighting community. If we come together, we don't have to solve the world's problems, but we can keep our kids playing chess and engaged and moving forward to the best of our ability. And I believe that if we can collaborate and work together, we can really make this something special going into the future. The first person I want to invite before I defer to some of the guests is, in my opinion, it's just a beautiful representation of the value of chess and what chess can provide for an individual. And this was a student of mine for many years, probably going on close to 10 years. And when I first met him, he had no chess experience. He wasn't a great chess player, but the community of what we were able to provide and the access to not only information, but competition and the ecosystem of New York City really allowed him to thrive, and thrive to the extent where I would say it was life-changing for him. And the engagement and interaction of chess and access to competition, meaningful competition, access to such a supportive community, it was something very special. And I think when he talks to you quickly about it, it'll give you some reasons why we need to fight so hard to protect it. Like I said, when I met him, he was a middle school player. He had never played the game of chess or hasn't engaged in the game of chess. And before he graduated high school, he was a USCF chess master, one of the youngest chess masters at that time to become 2,200. And he really used his experience and the values and the skills he learned in chess to really become very strong academically as well. And I'm proud to say that now he's studying at MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. I believe he's a sophomore, but in my opinion, he's one of the great representations of what chess can do. And I'd like to invite him to come say a couple of words about what chess has done and how being part of a competitive environment and being part of this community has really kind of helped him. So Tyrone Davis, if you would join us, say a couple of words. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. What an introduction. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first met Russ, I was maybe, 11 years old, and I walked in and he was sipping on his coffee cup and among all these students. I was like, who's this adult standing amongst these kids? And our relationship started then and it's progressed ever since. So, man, I mean, chess changing my life is an understatement. I don't remember what I was doing before chess, but I do remember all it did for me. I mean, it taught me how to read. It taught me how to look at something for hours on end. When I had to take my SAT, it was a breeze. Sitting at a chessboard for 6 hours is easy. The people I met, I see Leo here. I remember Leo. I met Leo in maybe my third tournament or so, and now we're best friends now, and just that community. man, chess did a lot of things for me as far as the competitiveness. Even to this day, I am at MIT. I'm a junior now, not a sophomore. I'm getting older. um, like even now, I stopped. So now I'm in the MIT Chess Club. I'm the president of the MIT Chess Club. So I try to maintain a chess community at MIT, which is smaller than most people would think. I thought it'd be much bigger, but it's not. And even to this day, we're playing other colleges, that competition, and meeting other people. It's more than just the chess. It's the social aspect. Chess brought me close to people I would have never um, been exposed to. I live in the Bronx, and it's really chess that allowed me to see different places and meet different people. Being around math thinking people or science STEM focused people, that's what put me on track to study computer science at MIT. Um, I was inspired by all the finance people in the chess community. Wanted me. That's why I got exposed to the stock market or hedge funds or Goldman Sachs of the world. All of that was because of chess. Everything I do has some origin because of chess. Um, I think it's hard now, talking to most of the parents here, just to really try to, I guess not force your kid, because I guess your kids will do what they want to do, but really just try to maintain this environment that we had before coronavirus. Because I think it's easy to lose it. If I didn't have the tournaments every Saturday, the GNT quads, um, I don't know what I would have been doing. We would have been in the park doing things I shouldn't have been doing. But so now that we don't have a lot of that with online, it's easy to just, forget about it that's going on. Just, try and push them not to forget about it. It is important and may just change their life like it did mine. Yeah, I can say Russ is amazing. The community is amazing. And I just know you guys, kids, is great. It was good for me. But yeah, don't lose it. Um, so yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Tyrone. I appreciate you coming on, all the kind words, and Tyrone's turned into a good friend. I think it was a couple Thanksgivings ago we spent Thanksgiving together as well. When
Yeah.
he was in Boston, I was in Maine, and so many friendships are made over the chessboard. And so thank you, Tyrone, for sharing. There's a couple special guests I would like to introduce quickly. These people represent some of the leaders of the chess community here in New York and across the United States. Some of the founding institutional organizations of Scholastic Chess that have made it such a powerhouse. And really, we stand on the shoulders of giants with some of the organizations and people that have come before us. So I'd like to introduce Sean Smith, who runs many of the programming at Chess in the Schools, and it's one of the longest standing chess organizations in the United States, maybe the world. And they were the first organization to bring chess into the New York City public schools, I think going back as early as 1980, 1986. And Sean's a good friend, and he's a big supporter of chess and chess education. So I want to welcome Sean Smith to come and say a couple words. And he happens to be a Mets fan as well. All right.
I see you got your Yankee hat on, so it's awkward for me to look over at your screen. We didn't do that well this year, but thanks for having me, Russ. Thank you, Tyrone, for speaking. That was great. Tyrone actually came to the Chess in the Schools office to talk to our college-bound students before schools shut down, and was a big inspirational speaker to our students, talking about all the things that he did to become kind of a self-made chess player. And our kids we have a number of kids that are actually learning virtually right now, taking your advice right now, taking all the resources that are out there. And we have some kids that went into the quarantine, so to speak, on the 13th of March with like 12 and 1300 ratings, who are now playing 2000 level chess. I mean, it's unbelievable. They got these online chess accounts and then just put hours and hours in, as you suggested, and it made a big difference. Our focus on March 13th, when all the schools shut down, was pretty scary for us. We were in 50 schools as part of the curriculum, and we work in low income neighborhoods. A lot of kids that don't have access to computers, to internet. So we had a hard time at first getting a lot of these kids onto the virtual space in our program. Luckily, the DOE was able to get a lot of kids iPads as that happened, and so we're working in our schools right now. In the 50 schools that we serve, we're up in 33 of them right now in the digital virtual classrooms. And we have clubs going in that virtual space. And we use a combination of Google Meets, Zooms, Google Classrooms, and we've developed our own online curriculum that we utilize as well. Probably the biggest change is we don't have these large tournaments on Saturday. I know a lot of the parents in this meeting, because you've brought your children to a Chess in the Schools tournament at some point over the last couple of years, whether it be, you know, one of the Mayor's Cups or a holiday tournament that we ran. And that's probably the saddest thing we don't have, because that's one of the biggest joys that for our kids are going to tournaments every Saturday. We were running 30 tournaments a year, and we had planned to run all these tournaments where we get 400 or 500 kids to come out. And it's more than just a chess tournament, it's a community. And friendships are made. Kids from all different backgrounds, different boroughs were coming up to meet up at these tournaments, and friendships have been made, lifelong friendships. I've been doing this for 17 years now, and the number of kids that I've watched grow up and do amazing things from chess, and the number of people that only would become friends because they met through chess is an amazing thing to see. Virtually, we're doing our online tournaments a little different. Rather than doing large, long rated tournaments, we're doing just 1 hour arena events on Saturday. We do them on Lichess, and we've chose Lichess because it lacks a paywall for our students. So everyone can get on there very easily. And we do 60-minute events in multiple sections. And we give out, they're free events, and we give out prizes that have been donated from different chess sites like Chessable and Play Magnus. And the teams that come out there, they hang out in Zoom team rooms, and they have a lesson before, a little lesson afterwards, and they banter during the event, and it's a lot of fun. So we're very lucky that we've been able to continue our programming virtually, but we can't wait to get back, you know, live. But we're going to continue to work on our digital resources and what we provide. And I want to thank Russ for having these great events and inviting our college-bound students to those events as well. I've already emailed a couple of them. A lot of those kids want to start coming to your league because they don't like just playing game 5. They want the competition. They want to play the longer time controls. So we're balancing all of that in our programming, but we've made it 8 months. I think we can make it longer, and I'm confident that we'll come out the other side all stronger as a result of this, and take some of the things that we've learned in this kind of awkward space we'll take back when we go live, and we'll be doing virtual and live teaching. And I think our kids will benefit from that. You know, our kids will be learning in the classroom, but also we'll be able to connect with our students in the virtual spaces that we've created. And I think we'll all be better because of it. So thank you, Russ.
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate you coming. And Chess in the Schools, like I said, they're an amazing organization. We've supported them, and one of the things that the themes that I'll talk about later tonight is that it's great to have friends and colleagues, but competitors in the game of chess. And, you know, Sean has hosted many great events that we've gone and tried to beat him. And I think that's an important element of what we need to create here. Is we need to create that friendly competition that we all strive for greatness, that Sean and Chess in the Schools has created over the years, and really has kind of paved the way for kids to achieve excellence through competition. So thank you, Sean. A couple of people I've asked to speak are some of the ambassadors, parent ambassadors for certain schools, and I just want to maybe quickly ask them to talk about the value of chess they've had in their communities. If Amy Gilston is on site, I think she had a couple of words to say. She was the PTA president at Lower Lab, and now her son is a sixth grader at Lab Middle School. So Amy, welcome, and if you have anything to share, that would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you. I'm very honored that you asked me to speak about our experience, which abruptly came to an end, unfortunately, in March. So my son was in 5th grade at Lower Lab, and we had built this incredible chess community. We had about 100 kids in our chess after school for years and years in a row. And we just looked forward to going to all of the tournaments over and over and over again. I mean, we, the parents, made great friends. I would look forward to being trapped in a room for 8 hours with Royal's mom or Morgan's mom or Ben's mom or Sobel's mom, and, you know, or dad. And we would just hang out and, you know, wait for the kids to come back after a round, and we would cheer, and we just have such fond memories of going to nationals and Saratoga and just all of the amazing tournaments. And I will say, though, that in this pandemic, I'm very grateful for chess, because it's definitely something that you can do online. It's not the same, but I feel like a lot of our kids have still grown and have still gained skills, even though they haven't been over the board. We have gone to Central Park a couple of times on Sundays. I hope that's going to continue. It's a little cold, but it's been great to see Noah with other kids and, playing. There have been a couple of like Zoom chess, I guess, play dates that we've had. So that's been pretty cool. But he's been doing the ICN Fall League, and that's been great. He knows every single day at 4:30 he can play at least 1 or 2 matches, and that's been really great. So I hope it can continue. We're part of a new team now, and I'm kind of trying to build it and trying to connect to other Lab Middle School parents. So if any of you are out there, you can message me in the chat right now. But yeah, we miss our lower lab community, and I hope that maybe next year or later this year that these communities can continue to grow, and maybe this was just a pause, and we'll continue to kind of build the life that we had before. So thank you. I definitely encourage all of the other schools as much as you can to try to build your school's chess programs, because it really was an incredible experience for us, all of us, like my son, my daughter, my husband, and I. It was really an amazing experience. So thank you.
Thanks, Amy. I appreciate your words. Amy was instrumental in really making Lower Lab just a great social community, but also a very competitive team. And I'll give you a little plug, but they're the reigning K3 national champions, because no one's dethroned them because nationals was canceled last year. So they've gone on to be very successful. The next parent I want to ask is someone that took their own initiative to start their own chess club in this COVID environment. I just want to talk a little bit about the ability to innovate and create, and that we can still create communities if we're creative, and that the kids still have a strong desire to connect. If we make the little measures and little steps to make that possible, kids are longing for connection through chess, shared chess experience and shared team. So I want to ask Tanwina, who actually reached out to me. Her son was at PS33 Chelsea Prep. He was there since kindergarten. I've known the family for a very long time. There were recently a new family to Eastside Middle School that didn't have a chess team, and already she's created a new team in the online ecosystem. And it only took her 24 hours to get about 12 players to start a chess team. So tell me if you would like to share your experience and just kind of how that's worked.
Yeah, sure. So Eastside Middle School doesn't have a chess team. And I think that's because it's only 3 grades, 6, 7, and 8. So the kids who do play chess, they graduate out. And it really depends on who's left behind and what's going on. With the pandemic, everybody kind of lost focus on chess. So Manak was really missing out. He loves playing chess competitively. And I could see he was really missing the way his analytical skills and his competitive edge were really just getting left behind there. So I reached out to the parent coordinator, who said that they didn't have something like a chess club right now, but if there was anything that I could think of. So the only thing I could think of was, of course, ICN, and I got in touch with Russ, who mentioned the league. Now, I didn't really know how this would work, but I found a little bit more about it, and I sent a blurb to the parent coordinator, who said I could put it into the parent the PTA weekly newsletter. And once that got out, I put in my name, details. People started emailing me. Mana got involved, and then his grade teacher, I sent the newsletter to him. He told the other teachers about it. They told their students about it. Parents started emailing me, kids started talking to Manak on the chat bar during their advisory weekly class. It kind of snowballed. So my takeaway from that is the kids are really desperate to do something more than just their Zoom classes at school. So that's the first thing. The other thing is Manak and the other kids are really enjoying being part of a team, a school team. They really enjoyed that because they don't have any school right now. They do have occasional classes, but there's nowhere where they can get a sense of school camaraderie, team spirit, and this is bringing a cohort together. They're socializing through chess, they're playing the league, and it just snowballed. So it's been really great to see the buzz that this has created. So thanks very much, ICN.
Okay, thanks, I appreciate it. And we were lucky enough to run into each other in Central Park on I think it was on Saturday. That was quite nice as well. Thank you so much. The next film I'd like to introduce is, it's an interesting story, but once again, I think it demonstrates the value of the idea that we can create, we can innovate, we can evolve, and we can make things happen in this environment just by putting our heads together. She was a family from PS 59 who took a job in Saranac Lake. For those that know where that is, that's close to Plattsburgh on the way up 87 going all the way north. And most of the kids there never competed or played chess, but her son loved it so much that she reached out to see if we can connect. And I thought for many years, or for a while, originally the conversation was, we can't support external programs and have any sort of quality because you're so far away. I'm not going to take the Greyhound bus up to 87 all the way to Saranac Lake. That's, maybe a couple of years ago I would have done that, but not, But the funny thing was, now it's opened up ideas for kids to engage in chess, and she's been able to build a nice little community that's practicing and playing in the league, and they're an extension of what you can bring a community together through chess. So Kim, if you'd like to say a couple things, that would be great.
Hey, well, thank you. Thanks so much. We really just had such a great time when Gregor was in, the program with Coach Russ and so many of the great coaches there and some of the tournaments. And then we moved, and my husband's a scientist up here. So we moved to Saranac Lake, and I was still commuting to Wall Street. So I know the bus. but what we ended up doing is, our school here in the community was such a shock to me. And I don't mean to sound naive, but, as Russ was talking about, the active involvement of parents, of the community, and what can be achieved is absolutely amazing. And coming here, there was a little bit of culture shock, of course. And so there's these great pockets of families and interest. But what was so exciting for me is to look at what we could do for underserved kids also, because they're all at the same school. It's literally one school, and it's 50% free or reduced lunch. And that was a new experience for me. And again, I don't mean to sound so naive, but it was all in one place. And so in looking at the opportunity, we have it's a small group right now. We have about 14 or 15 kids involved from many different socioeconomic backgrounds. And so while we don't have a lot of what kind of traditional diversity, here we have a lot of diversity of background. And so what can be achieved is just remarkable, looking at the short amount of time. And Gregor was able to join because Coach Russ was so generous with it. We were able to sign up for the summer camp programs, and he just did the afternoons. And I saw George, the artist, on there. I always loved hearing you in the background when I was on a conference call. But with that, and Coach Nash, and the whole team was just amazing from summer school. And that got me just thinking and hoping so much, because Russ had been an advisor for us before, when we were physically doing small amounts of chess physically here. We've just started the online program, and Russ, you'll be delighted to know that 8 days in to the new program, kids are already challenging kids. And I've walked by several times, and instead of them on some kind of device or calling each other, because of course we all know they can't get together as they would have, they've been challenging each other for chess. So while we're a little bit behind the development of the other programs, we're delighted to be involved, and just so grateful, because we're already getting, again, a week or so in, the feedback from the parents and the kids that get to challenge each other. So kind of more to come. Thank you so much, Coach Russ.
Thank you so much for joining, and we look forward to your kids competing against all the kids from New York. I think it's going to be a beautiful exchange of competition. So I look forward to that. The next guest I'd like to introduce is one of the, I would say, the leaders in competitive events in the United States. He sits on the council for the USCF, and he organizes the city and the state championship. And we've developed a nice friendship, and we support his events over the years, and he supports our events. And it's a nice representation of how we can work together as a community to kind of support each other, and that, the community is stronger when we all kind of work together. And I invited him to speak because one of the points that I'm going to speak to in a little bit later is that we have to protect our events. We got to protect the value of our events, and the value of the traditions of chess in this city, in the United States. We need city, state, and national championships. We need kids to want to win, to work hard together, and to have goals to look forward towards. So many of the events have been canceled and lost. The kids have been so discouraged, and they need something on the calendar that they can be a team together, if that's a city, state, or national event. And I think the events are in good hands with Danny Rhodes, who I'm going to introduce, that he can put forth a high quality event that kids get excited about and that we could work towards. Everybody needs that carrot as a parent, something that you could motivate your child by an upcoming event, so that you need to work hard so that you can be ready for this. And I think it's so important that we protect these events. And I'd like to invite Danny to say a couple things about the upcoming events and just some of the competitive landscape of chess going forward in the city and in the country. So thank you for joining, Danny.
No problem, Russ. Thank you for inviting me tonight. Let me first speak to where I was in March. Some of the parents were in contact with me in early March. I know Amy was, because of team rooms and a lot of stuff going on, because we were in the middle of trying to organize Saratoga when everything sort of shut down. And it was a scary time for everyone. Ultimately, the right decision was made to cancel the event prior to the schools closing. And then Cuomo obviously banned all gatherings prior to the event, so we would not have been able to have it. So there was not much that we could do about any event from Saratoga moving forward, including the Spring Nationals. There just wasn't enough time to keep that continuity together, and everyone was just sort of in shutdown mode. And so probably around June, there was sort of a shift, and that shift started to occur when there sort of became known that tournaments needed to move on. There needed to be some sense of a continuity and a tradition. The first event that occurred that probably changed this narrative was an event that maybe some of you don't know about, which is the High School Senior Online Rapid, which was an event that was put on by someone from Southern California who donated 100 memberships to US Chess and a $1,500 scholarship for high school seniors who are unable to play in their last year of national events. And we put the event up. We had 100 or so seniors that played in the event, and it was a very successful event. Now, the event had Zoom as part of it, so all the players were on Zoom, and I'll get to that sort of stuff in a second. But that event led to probably the biggest event that occurred over the summer, which was the National Invitationals, which are the Rockefeller, the Denker, the Barber, these legacy events. And that's really where we're aiming towards now, which is keeping these legacy events there moving forward. And we had 200 kids play in these invitationals. And I saw that Brewington's mom is on the call. And Brewington was one of the players. He represented New York in the Rockefeller this year. And it was so nice to see kids from all over the country play in a tournament with each other, a very competitive one. And the requirements were pretty big. You know, you had to be on Zoom. There was a lot of requirements to play in the tournament, but ultimately the kids were very happy with it. And so during the pandemic, tournament directors of major events, a lot of them have been trying to figure out how to get tournaments going. I see, Jude's dad on the call. And I think Jude played in one of the CCA events recently where, there's a lot of events going on. So we're learning about each server. We're learning about what we can do to really provide these sorts of things. And I think with big events, the number one thing is, even if it's online, it's about continuity and tradition. So what you'll start to see, and what you've already seen now, is the event in December, the K-12 Showdown. If you take a look at that event, you will notice that it's still in 13 grades. It is still with individual prizes. It is still with team prizes. The pairings are controlled by US Chess. That means all the pairings are done offline. That means that the entire tournament is controlled in a way that sort of mimics the over-the-board environment. And so the same thing is going to occur starting in January. The New York State Girls will happen this year, okay? That will be in January, all right? And it's going to be on ICC. We're working on the Greater New York right now online. It's very complicated to run these large events, but the biggest thing is that we're keeping the pairings in the right way, teams, pairings, standings, all of this stuff. It's going to be done in a way that protects the legacy of why we all attend these events in the first place. Now, is it going to be the same? Absolutely not. There's no way that it's really going to be the same sitting at home and playing from home. But if we can create that sort of area where we can have these opportunities and kids can play against each other in these bigger events. So the New York State Scholastics, March, same traditional weekend. The Amateur Team East, which I know Sean and I like to talk about a lot, that event is going to be in February. So what you'll start seeing is the major events are going to move into an online format for most of the rest of this year. I cannot say anything yet about the Super Nationals. I do not know. And when I do know, I will tell all the coaches. And in addition, I've also been organizing separate town halls, and Russ can maybe speak to this, because there is going to be a second one at some point for all the coaches of all the schools and programs in New York City and even in New York State to sort of sit together and discuss events, discuss, big events, discuss fair play, protocols, anything that comes to getting competition for the kids, because that is the most important thing to me. Because when I was a kid, I played in all of these events, and I would be nothing without those events. Traveling to nationals, traveling to Amateur Team East, traveling to all these things. So to me, it seems like we're passing the torch, but we have to keep these events going. And so that is my goal and what I have been working on for the past 6 months and what I expect to be working on really for the next 6 months. So if anyone ever wants to ask me something, I'm always available. Russ will happily give you my information so I could help answer any question about a big event. And thank you, Russ.
Yeah, thank you, Danny, for joining. And Dan, like I said, Danny has been a strong advocate for each one of us at the national level, fighting for fair play and for opportunities for all kids to be represented from New York at the national event. And he's done a great job. And thank you, Danny, for that. The next guest I'd like to, not a guest, is a co-director of our program. He oversees a lot of what we do in our programs. And I wanted him to speak not only as an educator, but as a parent, just like you guys. He has children in New York City public schools that are engaging in the program while he's trying to figure out how to engage them at the same time. So it's a unique perspective. And he's going to speak to what has been working and not working for his kids and how he kind of sees the ecosystem and the community moving forward. And I'd like to introduce Ian West.
Great. Thanks, Russ. Hi, everybody. I'll try to be brief, although I feel like there's so much to say on this topic. I want to, first of all, just mention how great it is to see Sean Smith and Danny Rode and so many excellent parents and people who've been involved in our programs over the years. And I think it's a really special thing that I think it bears acknowledging that a meeting like this would have very unlikely to have ever happened pre-COVID, but this is one of these weird little twists where all of a sudden we discover that we can get together very easily and comfortably together. Granted, we can't share cocktails, we can't form into little groups and share anecdotes, but I think it is important to be able to connect with the bigger picture of scholastic chess in our communities this way. I feel like it's something that might outlast all our lockdowns. Is we might be able to connect this way in the future, and it might make organizing and planning and staying in touch with each other easier and better. I think this note has been sounded a bunch of times by people about the difference between surviving and thriving, and I know as a chess program director, but also as a parent, that I've seen it. I've seen both ends of it. Obviously, there are a lot of people that are having a very difficult time with this current situation, and even kids who were diehard chess players and lived by the code and played every day and went to every event. It's been very sad. It's been heartbreaking on some levels just to see how many of them have drifted off the map because this format just doesn't work for so many people and so many kids especially. But on the other end, those kids are all at the park. They're running around. They're jumping on their brothers and sisters and all that sort of thing. What we discover also on the flip side of that is that, in fact, there are lots and lots of kids who have not only adapted well to online chess and the digital chess ecosphere, but have actually thrived there and become players that they might not have ever become in a physical space because of the access that the digital chess world allows. I want to point this out because I don't know how many people realize I feel it very much being a person that lived pre-cell. I mean, I was like a full-grown person pre-cell phone, pre-internet, and what it took to be a chess player back in the 80s and the 90s versus what you can accomplish sitting in front of your computer in a very short span in this day and age is insane. I mean, the difference is it's incredible how well chess took to the digital sphere. But that migration happened pre-COVID. Chess was online, fully online, and migrated. The migration was prepared in advance. And I feel like Russ and I know I feel extremely proud of what we've been able to do to circle kids into this online situation and help them adjust and help them find ways to connect and ways to engage. Because that is what it's about: keeping the communities together, keeping our teams together, keeping kids involved in something that's enriching. I mean, it's really the key. It's not just about keeping them in front of screens or keeping them from doing some other thing. It's really about providing content that enriches their existence, makes their lives better. Okay, I'm willing to concede that we don't want our kids on screens all the time. So I completely understand that, and chess organizers everywhere, we're all scratching our heads saying, well, how do we get kids to be more involved? How do we get them more engaged? Well, we have to ask them to be on their screens more. Okay. I mean, we have to recognize that kids have limits and we don't want them on the screens all the time. But I think there's so many tools that we have available that we are making use of. And I think that's part of what holds it all together. I'm very happy to hear Sean Smith talk about the Chess in Schools teams and what they're up to and how they're plugged in, how they're running events. I'm extremely happy to hear Danny Rode describe how the big events coming down the pike are transforming and becoming something that we can all be involved in here. And I think that kind of stuff is hugely important. Grade Nationals is coming up. I was just really, really gratified to know that Grade Nationals is going to happen in December. It's going to be a Chess Kid event. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. I do think that those, having those big events is critical because there's so much. I started in 2003 teaching chess, and I was a Chess in Schools instructor. And I started, my first big team program was PS 139 in Ditmas Park in Brooklyn, where my kids currently go and are part of the team there, amazingly enough. And I found right off the bat that the best way to get kids engaged and keep them engaged, whether they're on screens or in person, is to put a dart on the calendar in May and just say, look, this is what we're doing. In May, we're going here. We're going to get all these kids. We're going to pile onto an airplane. We're going there. And you don't want to miss it. Trust me, you want to be there. We started going to nationals in 2004. That was my second year at PS 139, and we haven't missed a year. We haven't missed a year since. I mean, we went to every single nationals from 2004 up until the shutdown, and it's been a program driver. Just having those big events has been a program driver. So I'm very excited about the big events coming, and I hope everyone we're going to be communicating about that a lot coming up because everyone something to be excited about. In the spirit of that engagement and that putting something on the map, putting something in front of us to focus on, I do want to talk a little, just very briefly about our online league. I think this is something that we really like. We scratched our heads a ton about the best way to organize an engaging idea, an ongoing and engaging idea. And we really feel like we've struck a chord, like a real chord that hums across a lot of different communities, a lot of different levels of players and ages of players with the Online Scholastic League. The Online Scholastic League is like something that connects all our schools together in a essentially what is a daily tournament. It's a two-round tournament that happens every single day of every single weekday at 4:30. It's 2 rounds of game 25. Each event is an individual 2-round event. And all the kids who sign up for our programs, I mean, if it's PS 77 or PS 33 or even schools outside of our networks, I see Chapin is here. I see other schools here. Anyone who signs in, anyone who loops in, has access to that league 5 days a week. And we have kids who play in that league only on their club days. They have chess club on Friday. They come on Friday. They play in the league Friday. We have other kids that take full access there, and they play 2, 3, 4, 5 days a week. They're there a lot. That access is open, and that league is open. The standings, we monitor the standings. They're updated every day, and we have team and individual standings as we go. And it's something I've become kind of hooked on. I mean, I know a lot of chess parents talk about this. Like every chess team's got a stat parent. The parent that stands in the corner with their cell phone, like updating stats, looking at kids' ratings, checking, comparing. There's always that stat parent that follows all this stuff. And now I've become the stat dad with
Ian, do you mind sharing the updated standings so people can just see what it looks like?
Sure. I think I have it. I think I had it here. So yeah, we're updating this daily with our team standings. This is something I come like a monkey. I come in the morning and trying to get my piece of cheese from the online chess league standings, and I want to see where the teams are at, who moved where. Everyone's moving up and down the levels, we've got a lot of teams involved, and more are joining all the time. So this is a monthly competition, and at the end of the month, we're awarding team prizes and individual prizes. So we've got individual prizes as well. And I don't know, Russ, I don't know, we haven't, not much has been talked about, I don't think, about this. Maybe not enough has been talked about it, but we do have an internal rating system that's emulating USCF and running parallel to USCF for the sake of being able to monitor our students' progress as we go. And I think, you can link your child's play is linked here. All the events that we rate in our system are linked here, so you can track your child's playing history and rating growth through the individual standings on the league. So I think it's a fairly amazing thing. And again, I mean, my son's a player. My son goes to PS 139, and he wants to know where he's at now. We have these. You can see on the website we keep track of our top 20 players per grade, so you can always go on here and see where your kid is. Your kid's cracked the top 20, the top 10. And I know this is all sort of, in a way, it's sort of silly, because the bigger picture really here is about enrichment and engagement. But we all know how this kind of stuff works. I mean, motivation, carrots, having these ideas and benchmarks in mind, it drives kids to improve. It drives them to improve, and it engages them on a deeper level. And anyway, I think I know as an educator, but also as a parent, I feel very fortunate to be able to connect to something like that. And so I love seeing all your kids involved in that, and I keep track of as many as my mental space can accommodate. But yeah, I think that's been my experience. Is I feel like the league is helping kind of keep as a glue to kind of keep our communities centered around something valuable and centered around something enriching, and keep them growing. So yeah, thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for taking time out of your evenings to come and talk and visit.
All right, thanks, Ian. So I'll share a couple of brief comments, but I think what would be nice also is to hear from some of the parents, and we have so many amazing parents here that I think we can all be better by hearing what you guys would suggest, and maybe get a little bit of a dialogue going. But my opinion on what's going on is kids need access to something meaningful. Meaning is very important, and we create the meaning. We create the ecosystem of what's valuable and what's not by how much weight we put on things. And I think we got to start putting value back on the way we play chess, and we got to start putting value back on the communities that we are part of. Because when everything gets lost and things become meaningful, the kids stop caring, and there goes any chance of excellence if the kids aren't engaged with something that's meaningful. When Ian talked about over screen time, cut the screen time and just give them access to 1 hour of meaningful play, and that's all they get. You don't need to have overconsumption to be meaningful. And just because it's online doesn't mean it can't be meaningful. And how do we create the meaning? We create the value around having teams where what you do affects your whole community. How serious you play affects your whole team. And if you can get that idea across to your parents and to your kids that they're playing for something bigger than themselves. Like I know we have the family from PS41, and I spoke to the mother. All she wants to do is be a part of a team again. And she has no interest in playing individually online by herself. But if her points can count towards another kid's points, and they can all of a sudden show up on some chart or some standing, that's meaning. And I think we got to fight for that. I mean, we create the meaning as educators and parents of what's meaningful and what's not. And that's why the city championship gets 2,000 kids every year, because it means something to be a city champion. And Danny knows that. He has to turn kids away. Everybody wants to play there because it's meaningful. And people want to go to the Saratoga. Parents will go plane, train, and automobile. They'll rent cars, and some people, they ride a bicycle if they have, because they want to be the New York State champion, and it's meaningful. And we got to put meaning back into our communities. And I think each of us as parents and educators have to fight for the meaning of what our kids are involved with. And we have to fight for the meaning. And when we do it together, and I'll just share one more anecdote. When I spoke to Tanwina about her speaking, I said, how did Monarch feel when he knew other kids were in the league with him? She said he smiled from ear to ear. He was so excited he was going to be playing along teammates for the first time. And it was such a big moment for him. What she did, putting classmates alongside him in that league, it was such a big thing. And it brought meaning to his game and to the whole community, and the whole ecosystem is better. So, events and meaning and large events and building communities around competitive ideas and fighting for excellence is, I think, in my opinion, is the path forward, or our path forward, and getting as many kids involved as possible. So with that said, thank you for coming. If you're a parent, if you'd like to contribute, you have a little bit of I think a blue hand, and you can raise it. And I'd love to hear, let's keep it short and sweet. But if you have anything you can contribute of value, that you think that it's worked, or anything that you'd like to suggest, I'd like to hear from you. I know we have a lot of longstanding chess parents in this room. There's a little blue hand, and don't be shy. We're not going long yet. We're under an hour. So does anybody have anything that they'd like to contribute? I don't want to call anybody's name out, but I see families like Ben Morden, who's been a longstanding. I see Dawn and Richard from PS11, who are the chess parents, the head of the PS11 chess team.
Peter.
I see Peter Marini, who's a longstanding
Peter.
lower lab. I see Brewington Hardaway's mother, who Brewington's one of the top players in the United States. And I see Radhika here. Anybody, maybe Lisa, do you want to speak on behalf of PS41? Do you want to say a couple words?
Sure. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So my daughter absolutely thrived in live tournaments, and she is absolutely turned off at this point, burnt out on online chess, and to play in a tournament online for her right now feels just like playing any other game. And she has no issue with just like resigning and ending the game if she loses interest. And it's heartbreaking. So, and I've spoken with a bunch of other friends of ours whose kids are kind of in the same situation. They're third graders, and we don't want them to lose interest. So I'm very, very motivated to figure out a way to keep our kids enjoying chess and like not losing it, not letting chess, their love of chess, be a casualty of this pandemic.
Thank you.
I wonder, I wonder on that point, Coach Russ, if there's something that we could do, because we're looking to kind of mirror the success built in the city, and hearing that feedback, I wonder if maybe when you group together the teams, and if her daughter sees the name, with the group, and let's just make a very small goal. And if everybody does a Chess Kid challenge for 5 days in a row, they get a little, I don't know, an Olympic medal, Kim, something like
Kim,
that.
What I think you haven't seen the league yet, because you haven't participated yet. But when you see that glue of that ecosystem is going to, in our opinion, it'll touch on all those boxes, because PS41, where she goes, is one of the proudest programs in the history of competitive chess in the United States. They've won the nationals many times over, and they have about probably 30 to 50 kids that want to get into chess. They're just looking for that avenue. So we spoke about what the outlet would be, but yeah, I agree. Like, all these outlets are good, but I think if we can centralize, I want to centralize around something that means something to everybody. a city, state, and national, and then somewhere where everybody can live. Because I think when people care and 41 cares, I'll tell you, 41 cares. I'm training my kids to be better to beat 41 because 5 years ago we got second place by half a point in the national championship. And I believe in friendly competition. I think that would make us much better. If 41's there and our kids can train a little bit harder to try to beat 41, I think that's a beautiful thing. Friendly competition.
Russ, hear me?
Yep. Hey, John.
How are you?
Good.
I heard you and Ian, guys did a great job. Great job.
John, you're on the call with all the parents.
Good. Like you said, don't give up. Keep playing. Chess, don't give up. There's plenty of hope ahead. Remember, we're not out of the situation yet, but it's going to get better. You got to think positive. Remember, positive. Like I said to you, God is good. So you know what's going to happen. Between you and Ian, you guys are doing a fantastic job. And I miss you guys. I miss PS10, Brooklyn Gladiators. And I heard the parents speaking about it. I heard that parent say she's getting a little discouraged with her kid. Don't worry about it. Keep the kid going. But don't push the matter. If they don't want to play, start slowly and then work it. That's how it goes. But believe me, it will get better.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Ian, hello,
John's a good friend of ours. He was the godfather, the legacy of PS10. His wife worked there, and he was retired, and he kept the program going. And he brought in us to help him run it. And within 2 years, we won the city championship. And John's been a good friend of ours in Brooklyn. So thank you, John. Anybody else like to say anything? Shannon from PS33 or Peter, like I said.
Yes, I have a quick thing.
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, my name is Shannon from PS33. I've had 2 kids go through the in-school as well as the after-school over the last 4 years. And I do think a change that I've seen that might help other schools to kind of bring the energy back to players that may have lost it is if you're able to provide an enrichment, through your PTA budget or another budget, if you're able to do it in school, and then the coaches are doing a great job of engaging them virtually. But then what's really happening is then they're encouraging them at the end of the session to sign on to Chess Kid and to play each other against their school. And all of a sudden, when you ask them, do you want to do Chess Kid? No, I don't want to do it. But all of a sudden, if they're on the call with the coach and then they're answering questions, she continues to engage them, then all of a sudden they want to play and they want to play against their friends. So that's been a very different experience than us just, there was a big group, probably 10 of us parents were talking about it this weekend. And a lot of us used to be at all the chess tournaments and the kids just aren't that interested. But I have seen a change since it's been in school. Of them staying after and playing just those kids in their class, even different from after school. I think it sparked even a little better than after school. So that's just something for some schools to consider.
Now, Shannon, I will tell you this between you and I, the energy is back. It is back. It's now we got to harness it. It is back. I know it's back because I feel it. I feel the energy.
I'm seeing
the
it.
Kids, the ecosystem's returning, the competitive elements are returning, and it's trending up. And I believe that. Radhika, did you have something you want to say on PS11, Indira's mother?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that what Indira really thrives on is like every other kid, she likes the group aspect of chess more than the individual playing. And what's been most useful for her has been this Central Park meets on Sunday. I think it's brought back the love for the game because ultimately she likes playing with kids across the board. So if more people come to that, I think it'll really help a lot of kids. Also, maybe you can make it like, although it's for the entire community, maybe you can focus on one school and make sure a lot of attendance from one school attend a week so that the other kids, so that kids can see who in their school is playing. And, it builds the school community and, they need to see each other live at this point, I think, because online works, but not as well as seeing people in person. So maybe we could use the Central Park meets further to have schools come in groups or something like that. That's what
Excellent. Thank you. Now I have a friend here. I don't know if he wants to speak, but he's I think one of the chess leads at the Dalton School. Ryan Mash. I'm not sure if he's live or not, but if he has a couple things to say, maybe that's something that's been working and not working because they've always been a huge part of our community just by being competitors. We've always played against them, and it's made the whole community better having strong programs like Dalton. So if Ryan has anything he'd like to add, he's more than welcome. Or any other parents, I see that Maya and Mao's mother from Chapin is here, or anybody else that would like to see. I'd really, we all like to hear from everybody. So don't be shy, and maybe Brewington's mom has a couple things to say if she.
I think Ben's got his hand up.
Oh, hey Ben. Hey Ben. Ben, could we?
Yes, hi. Sorry about that. I'm actually multitasking right now. I'm trying to move out of one location. But I just wanted to say that my daughters they've, through remote online chess, they found a way to also bond with their teams of the past. And it's been really successful. While they're playing chess, they'll be FaceTiming with their teammates from previous years. They're chatting, they're talking in between rounds. So I think, if we incorporate more of that as well, because it's become it's like a club thing for them right now, playing chess every day online, and for that 1 or 2 hours or 3, they're having friendships, they're having their relationships with their friends, and chatting, and then focusing on the chess in between. And so it's just been, they don't take it as seriously as OTB chess, but it gets them in the game, gets them playing. They want to win, but they also, it's keeping them connected with their friends. And it's been a really wonderful success for my daughters. And I know this could be, I know the previous mom who was talking about her daughter not feeling as comfortable playing online. But I think if you can incorporate a little more of getting your friends online at the same time, and then having that connection, I think something, it becomes more meaningful. And it's been, to me, it's been one of the saving graces during this COVID. It's been, they've had this routine, they've been engaged, and they've been maintaining their friendships. So I want to thank you, and Russ, Coach Russ, Coach Ian West, and everyone else that's been fighting to provide that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ben. Just so you guys know, Ben has 3 daughters. One's at Brooklyn Tech, and the other 2, I believe, are at Salk. Oh, Brewington's mom. Oh, nice to see you. Come on, say something.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to say thank you to all the Russ, Sean, Danny. It's a challenging time for parents, but also challenging. I think it's very challenging for chess organizations. But you made a way for us to provide great opportunities. Still, kids can play. I'm so grateful for that. And all the parents, New York has a very great chess community. I love all the parents. I just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you. For you guys that don't know, like Danny mentioned, Brewington became a chess master at the age of 10 last year. He's one of the youngest chess masters in the history of the game. And I will say, I'll give her some credit. One of the most supportive moms. She takes him everywhere in New York City. Anytime there's an event, you can find Brewington, his mom, there. And she's been honestly a driving force for all the tremendous success. And I know that we're so proud of him. He goes to Spire Legacy School. He learned chess at Success Academy, but just the whole community is so proud of the success of the young Brewington Hardaway, who made master at 10 years old. So thank you for joining, and thank you for the words. Anyone else that'd like to say anything? Happy to hear from.
I think Rena has had her hand up.
Yeah.
Rena?
Thank you. So I will just say, first of all, I want to say, like, you guys really, the second the city shut down, I felt like chess was the one thing that didn't shut down for my kid. And it was the one constant. You guys jumped on it. You made it real. You made it, you did really make it meaningful. I think he has built some really amazing friendships actually through through chess, through online chess, that he never had before. And so that's been really astounding. I would just say, I wonder about the Central Park meetups have been, we are so enticed by them and we keep wanting to get there. It's rough for us. Our Sunday schedule is a little crazy. And then, to be schlepping over to Central Park at Sunday at 3:00. So I'm just wondering, I loved what that other mom mentioned about, sort of making it per school or some weeks, but maybe there's local places that we could also do it. Maybe there's other local parks near sort of other schools where we could sort of gather like, oh, these 3 schools are going to meet here this week or things like that. I think, I know the weather's going to change on us and it's going to get a little more complicated, but if there's a way to make that happen, I think the in-person would be really great. And the other piece, the other thing I'll add is, over the summer when Simon was playing, there were a couple kids that he kind of kept playing a bunch and they weren't his school. And I was just thinking how sad it is that he actually hasn't ever met any of those kids face to face. So if there's a way to create some of those relationships, I'm sure he would love to meet some of those kids who kept beating him. I would anyway. So yeah.
I think, thank you so much for that. And Simon, he's one of our youngest kids last kindergarten, and he was just most puzzles and playing every day. And he really led the way as the youngest kid on the team and one of the the newest kids. He really led by example of working really hard, and I think that's a great example that he set. To that point, I think if anybody wants to take the initiative of organizing, that's a great first step, and we'll support you. We'll help get email lists together and connect you to other parents. But if you want to pick a park or a playground and you want to try to organize something locally on a different day or whenever it would be, love to help support you and connect you guys. I think those micro little groups can be very successful that are, closer to where your community is and engage, greater number of kids in your community would be excellent. And the Central Park thing, I look forward to it every single Sunday. George is hopefully still here, but he's been my partner in crime every Sunday. And 2 weeks ago when it was pouring rain, I knew when it started at 3, George texted me at 2:00 and he said, I'll see you in the park. And me and George met in the park and played a quick game of chess in the pouring rain. And I knew he wouldn't let me down, that he was reading my mind, that we were going to go to the park together. And we were literally only there for maybe a couple minutes, but it was important for us to be there as well. And the Central Park thing has been tremendous. We've had as many, I think, upwards of sometimes 30 to 50 kids joining, playing, and enjoying themselves. So it's been quite special. Anybody else? I see that we have David just joined. We have Leonardo Liu, who's been to the parks. He's a Columbia Grammar student now, and he was a former PS33 student. He's joined. He's a chess expert, and he's been playing and giving back to the community.
I think George wants to jump in too.
George? Yeah.
Yeah.
Danny,
hi. I'm sorry. I don't have I'm on my phone, so I don't have the symbol to do do it digitally. Yeah. I just wanted to say in response to the Central Park Sundays, which has been great. And I just think it's been so important to try to keep things going. And I've shown up as an act of solidarity, and I will continue to do that because I think it's just fundamental to things right now. Having said that, the weather is going to drive us inside, and I guess we've got to figure out what we're going to do. But I would happily do anything and go anywhere to continue to do it. So believe me, I believe I'll do whatever it takes. And as the end of the year winds down, we're going to have to figure out something. But if we can put our heads together, I'm up for it.
Good. Thank you, George. We appreciate you. We appreciate you, the resident artist. Danny, did you have something you want? Danny, jump in. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple things. Just speaking to something about Leo, because Leo wants to play over the board more than anyone. He constantly comes to me asking me about playing over the board, and I have to tell him, it's just hard right now for chess organizers to consider over the board tournaments. So, getting those online tournaments and playing in leagues and doing all this stuff is vital. And then communication, picking each other up. I would say there's some areas that, as representatives, we can all look forward to, which is help parents of younger students out. Because one of the things that's happening right now, especially for, parents of kindergartners and first graders and second graders, is that they're not learning the experiences that many of you have had prior to COVID, and they're not getting the same sort of experience that we all have, which is why we're pushing so hard. right? So there might be this gap, and to keep looking out for them. And then I would say for, older kids don't want to be on the screen too much. And then they start to wonder what happens, in online tournaments, right? So it's a hard process. We're learning more every single week, every single month with the pandemic, and how to move forward in a way that really pushes what we all want for the kids. Because I know that I want that as a representative, and I've tried to push that anytime a conversation comes up about, well, should we really do this? Can we really get this done? I'm like, you know what? We have to get this done. So that is my perspective on just how we can move forward. And then once we're out of this whole thing, we'll be able to use what we've learned, and then use the online chess boom. There's a lot of things going on in online chess right now which can engage the kids. Like, look at what Hikaru Nakamura has done. I'm just going to say it like that. And if all of you look up what Hikaru has done recently with online chess and trying to grow the network, Queen's Gambit, show parents what Queen's Gambit is, right? Like, it may not be worth it for the kids to watch, and probably the kids shouldn't watch it, but it's good for the parents to all see it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of chess out there, and trying to engage everyone, both the kids and the parents, is a good way to start.
Thank you. I see a friend of ours, I think it's a friend of Ian's too, Giselle Beckles. I think it's Andrew and Jeremiah's mother, and she comes to some of the, I see her on. Is she comfortable saying hello?
No, I actually wasn't, but anyhow, wait, let me lower this. Anyhow, hello everybody. I'm Jeremiah's Beckles' mom. He goes to Brooklyn Tech, and I'm Andrew's Beckles' mom also, and he goes to Success Academy. I could say that we are not in New York City right now. We are out of New York. So it has been very challenging for them since they're not at home. So during the summertime, doing the chess was something that was very helpful. I think that they are kind of overwhelmed with all the things and what's going on. And I'm trying to have chess be a little bit of distraction for them at this moment. They really love the game. They enjoy the game. They love coming to your tournaments, and they I feel that we should be back home soon, and I agree with the other parents. In spite of what's going on, we should try to take precautions, but have them meet in a little small groups, or even play and be able to see each other, so that they could have that sense of friendship, fellowship that is very important for them.
Thank you so much. We love having your voice. Thank you for joining tonight. Let's see. I want to ask a favor because he's an old. Oh, hey, Igor.
Hey, I just wanted to maybe share a little bit of my experience, because this theme of kids going from over-the-board chess to the online chess is kind of dominant in this environment, and I thought maybe I can offer a little bit of perspective on this from my side. So my daughter Mia, who goes to BASIS and used to be in PS11, both ICM programs. She probably played in as many live tournaments as anybody else. She almost did 50 tournaments in the course of 2 years, live tournaments. And she absolutely loved it, as many other kids do. And she was absolutely terrified of online. And I've been actually trying to get her to just go in and practice what that would be like. And I started about a year ago, before COVID started. And she, for a while, she was extremely apprehensive. She wouldn't even play a blitz. She wasn't sure who she was playing against, exactly how to move the pieces, or how the process of the game is going to work over online. And then she started getting used to it. And by the time March rolled around, she was comfortable enough, and she really kind of embraced the change. I mean, she still misses over the board experience to this day, obviously. But she's gotten more and more comfortable. And some of the other things that got her more comfortable is also watching some of the online events. I think Danny just mentioned that. She was watching Carlson and Nakamura and playing online. Sometimes she can watch that live or replay. A lot of the tournaments now that she's playing in, after the fact, there is a review of some of the games. She enjoys watching that. And I believe that could also help other kids get involved in that. Also, over the summer, a kind of a blessing in disguise was that there were not a lot of physical camps open. And we signed Mia up for ICN camp. She was doing it daily for about 8 weeks. I've seen an absolutely tremendous growth in her abilities across the board. Tactics, strategy, endings, openings, playing faster, playing blitz, just seeing things faster and moving faster, and just overall improving quite a bit. And again, if this was a live camp, I'm sure I would have seen also improvement, but online things seem to be moving faster. This is something that I think Ian also mentioned before, that with those digital capabilities, if you have your kids in the right place and you know, they get the idea of doing online chess a lot more, you can see results and you can see them enjoying it faster. So these are just a few observations that I've had. She's played a lot of different tournaments since then, different time controls and different settings, different number of rounds. And it all seems to help her game overall. So I would say, you know, if you have the opportunity, try to experiment, try to get them into different types of tournaments, like arena tournaments, like Sean is doing in CIS, and at the same time, longer games, which are 25 minutes or even 45 minutes, and try to vary them and see what they like. And that improves their game also at different levels.
Yeah, actually, I want to jump in. Igor reminded me of something that I've seen happen a lot, and I didn't have this experience particularly with Mia, but I have had it with a number of other students as a chess coach and as a program director. I've seen this broad sample of kids, from the most engaged kids who play and stuff every day down to, like I mentioned before, kids that were hallmarks of the over the board world who just disappeared, like overnight. They disappeared. I found one thing as an educator that I found useful is to reach out one-on-one as a coach. I found it really helpful. You know, I would go through my team lists and I would find a kid that I knew was just a diehard chess lover, but who had disappeared, and I would just reach out to the family. I would say, you know, what's up? How are things going? Let's get on a Zoom call for 15 minutes. We'll solve some puzzles together. We'll chit chat, just anything to kind of spark a little energy or connection. And I found that to be productive many times. And I want to offer that. I want to just say that to all parents, ICN parents or otherwise, that is a very useful tool, a one-on-one catch up. It's like stopping on the street corner. You stop and you catch up for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. You solve a few puzzles. You go over an opening line or something. Maybe you play a blitz game together and you call it a day. I make myself available to all Scholastic players and especially our team players, obviously, for that service. I think it's like it's a very helpful thing for kids that are finding this whole environment a little bit off-putting or difficult, and I know there are many. So.
All right, I'll say a couple more things, and then we can kind of wrap it up. The one thing, first thing I want to say is that I can speak for Ian and myself. We really care about the kids. I know sometimes the lines get blurred as far as, you know, we're chess professionals, and I can speak for Danny and Sean as well, just knowing them. But, you know, Ian wants to speak to your kid because he cares, and we get excited about your kids doing well. And when your kids do well or something happens, we talk about that independently. Sometimes I'll call Ian and just talk about how well your kid is doing because we care. That's what we love. You know, our passion is is your kids and the success of your kids. It's in our blood, and that's what we are as educators and being in the chess world. So it's not a formality for Ian to talk to your kid. We get equally as energized by seeing them get energized and get re-engaged. And it's that exchange that kind of, I think, drives us and keeps us going, because if it was purely the act of just doing something for this is what we do, I don't think we would have lasted this long. Now we're 8 months and just trying to find new energy every single day. And Ian and I look for motivation, but most of the motivation comes from your kids. When we look at the leaderboard in the morning and we say, "Can you see this kid?" That's what it's all about. And one last story. There's another parent here, an old friend of mine, Roman Kazan. He's Jude Kazan's father, and he's been a very big supporter of our program for many years. But I taught Jude how to play in kindergarten in the curriculum class. And just like Ian said, it got to the point, I hadn't seen him online in a long time, and I was in New York and I couldn't see him. So I reached out to the parents on the text. I said, "Where's Jude?" And they said, "Oh, well, Jude is, he's just not into it. A lot has happened and it's been tough for him. It's a challenging time." And I said, "Let's meet." And we went to Central Park at the Chess and Checker House. We played a game of chess, and that's how the idea of the Sunday Park Social started. Was we went and played together, and I said, "Wow, this is possible. This is possible." We went there and we shared a game of chess, and now you see Jude re-energized by the ability to play in competitions again in the Sunday Park Social and being part of the community. I think it's re-energized him and re-engaged him into the chess. It's almost like he was on life support in terms of chess in some senses, and he was able to kind of get back into it. And I think that's telling for a lot of the kids, that a little reach out, a little connectivity, hitting the right buttons, introducing the right competition, making the right support, and we can resurrect this thing and make it meaningful and keep the kids engaged. I truly believe that. And the last person I'm going to ask to say a couple of words, I didn't expect to do it, but she's still here. She's been such a big part of the program. And I don't know if she's going to want to speak, and if she doesn't speak, that's fine. But her name is Coach Nash, and she's been such a steady arm and a gentle person, and such a, I think, such a great face. For seven months, she's been there every step of the way, every day, to answer any questions and to keep it positive, especially the youngest kids. And I just want to maybe she'll have a couple words to say about her experience, or any words of encouragement before we wrap it up tonight. But Nash, are you? I see you're on the call, but you're not technically on the call because I don't see any picture or volume. But if you were here, that would be great to hear from you, because you've been such a inspiration to so many of us here with your positivity every day. And if Nash is not here, which she might not be, maybe Jenny, who's also been her partner in crime, who's on the call, maybe would have a couple things to say. And if she's not here, then we can always ask maybe Erica, who's also been here every step of the way, that if she'd want to say a couple of words. And if all three of them are not here, then what I'll do is I will
happily. Sorry, Russ. I will happily speak on their behalf. We're very, very fortunate to have just an amazing admin team. Just so many little things behind the scenes happen to make the league run, to make our clubs run, to keep the ball rolling. And Nash and Jenny and Erica have been just amazing consistency and thoroughness, detailed, taking care of, all these little things. It's just everything. None of this would work if it wasn't for them. So
yeah.
All
right, guys. Well, thank you for joining. I hope it was supportive, and maybe you took some takeaways from it that will help you. And I really believe that we have a lot of gas in the tank left. There's a lot of gas and a lot of energy, and there's a lot of power on this call and in our community. And I look forward to playing our role in trying to energize and to help lead where we're called upon, and just do what we can, because I really believe this is worth fighting for. And I think that, when we get to the other side, we'll have preserved, and we'll have a lot to celebrate. Even though times are a little challenging now, we'll have a lot to celebrate on the other end. So thank you guys. Be ambassadors for the great game of chess. Be ambassadors in your communities, and the sky's the limit. Every one of you guys can make an impact in your local community using the game of chess to lead, inspire, and to bring your kids together through the game of chess. So thank you.
Good job, Russ. Good job.
Thank you, John. All right, guys. Good night, guys. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Good night, guys.
Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Good
See you in
night,
the
Sean.
park.
I'll see you in the park, George. All right.
See you later, man.
All right, George. Thank you. All right, Tyrone, you the man. Thanks, Roman.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks, David. Thanks for coming.
Hey, thank you.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye. Bye.
All right. Nash, Jenny, Erica, they're still on, so we know. Hey,
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Ivy, go away. Would you go away? Take her away. All right.
all right, Ian. I'll see you soon.